for 2 more days. And I was the one who took the initiative to call him. I called him, I told him, the PASTF party, well, you know how it works. You were there. The PASTF party is very organized. When President Macky Sall wanted to meet me as the president of PASTEF during the COVID episode, I said you were there. We convened the political bureau to assess, and the majority opinion was that we had to respond. We didn't stop there. We held a conference with all 46 departments who gave their opinion. Then with the diaspora, everyone gave their opinion, and the majority view was that we should respond to this summons. That's what brought me to the palace for the first time, for a meeting with President Macky Sall. I say, that's how it works. When President Diouf wanted to have President Wade in his cabinet, in his government, he called them, they discussed it, they agreed on the essentials. And this President Wade, he was notified of the ministerial portfolios and he chose his collaborators. That's how it works. So you can't just come and bypass the party president, the party bodies, and call people individually. Yet we haven't closed the door on him. If you call me, despite everything that has happened between us, all the discourtesy in our relationship, and despite everything we've done for you, but despite all that, if you call me, I will come and respond. And we will talk. He refused, saying he wouldn't receive them. I told him now, I feel like the problem has become a personal one. I don't know what I did to you. I don't know why there's an obsession with person. I don't even know if it's a fascination. I don't know what the problem is. But I'm stepping aside and I'm appointing 4 party members who are all bigwigs of this party and who all have a special relationship with you. Namely, Mr. Alioune Sow, present here, Mr. Baram Souley Daya, present here, Mr. Daoud Ndom, and Mr. El Malik Ndaya. He told me I'm not going to receive them because they were disrespectful to me. Be that as it may. I tried to convince him. Finally, he said the Prime Minister will receive them. They went to see the Prime Minister, and they discussed the issues that the party had raised, notably the management of the debt, the purchasing power of Senegalese people, maintaining it, if not lowering it, at least keeping it at the current level. It's been a struggle for months and months at the Prime Minister's office. Then the issue of renegotiating the country's strategic contracts, on which we've had significant results. And finally, the issue of justice and accountability, which we promised the Senegalese people, but has been totally sabotaged since we've been here. And sabotage from within, which means that in 2 years, nothing has been done regarding these files. Nothing substantial, anyway. He says these issues are the party's concerns. We talked, he made a commitment, saying he admitted to me that he and his finance minister hadn't made any commitment to the IMF regarding debt restructuring, that they'd maintained the same position, and that they were working on a different solution specifically regarding guarantees. Okay. On the issue of purchasing power, he said that, as much as possible, they'll do everything not to raise or deregulate prices or apply market pricing to certain subsidized products, but if it became untenable, they'd be forced to apply market pricing. Similarly, with the debt, if the situation became untenable, they'd be forced to accept restructuring. Regarding the renegotiations, he said that nothing has changed, except that we need to look at it case by case because we're starting to see notices of litigation. And finally, regarding justice, he considers that we have the best justice system in the world. I'm not talking about justice in general, by the way, because I know there are excellent lawyers, excellent magistrates who do their jobs well, and the Minister of Justice knows it. We're talking specifically about cases that you're familiar with. and he considers that it's going very well, which isn't my view, nor is it the view of the majority of Senegalese who feel there's a justice problem in this country. And the appointments made at the Ministry of Justice don't reassure us, because here's an actor who was at the heart of cases handled by certain courts. I myself have been contacted several times regarding certain cases, but we'll see. We have our doubts, but we'll see. And we'll do what's necessary from the National Assembly, rest assured. So, all these answers are lukewarm. And on the last question, it's not convincing. That means I wasn't convinced. Next, we discussed the government. I told him PASTF is the majority party, holding 130 deputies out of 165 in the National Assembly. It's the majority party. And a democracy, if things were handled normally, if you have a problem with the prime minister, if it's the prime minister himself who's the problem, you ask the majority party to appoint another prime minister and form a government. And I've been suggesting this to you for a very long time. You didn't do it, and you went and picked a prime minister who has nothing to do with our struggle. I'll take this chance to ask him to remain a technocrat, to stay out of the political game. Since he was chosen to be a technocrat, according to what we're told, he should just stick to that, because I know a lot about what's going on and what he's doing. Out of courtesy, I've been very polite to him up until now. You shouldn't provoke this. Mr. Prime Minister Alamina Lo, stay in your place. The political arena's not yours. I told him, you didn't choose, you didn't give the option to choose, you choose without informing us. Despite all that, we're not sulking. Regarding the formation of the government and the courtesy of calling us, we're talking. Me, I'm sidelined, I don't have a problem, but I am the party president. And if you don't want to talk to me, at least agree to talk to my emissaries. You didn't want to. So, since that time, he agreed to let the emissaries meet with the prime minister, which was done. He recorded it and promised to report back to the president, who will get back to us. The next day, he called to say the president would contact me so we could talk. He didn't do it. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, until yesterday, the night before last. He sent me a message around 11 p.m. asking me to come to the palace, which I couldn't do. We set a meeting for the next day, which was yesterday morning at 8 o'clock. I went there and we discussed all the issues I raised. He gave the answers that I've told you. Then we discussed the formation of the government. He says, we are the majority party. What are you putting on the table? Because if we get involved, it's us who give political backing to the government. Because I don't see any political group worthy of the name capable today of taking PASTF's place. And you can't form a government, manage an executive without a serious political foundation. That doesn't exist in any country in the world. What's happening is unprecedented. Yesterday, we had a government that is a suspended government without branches, without a political foundation. Historically, the Socialist Party ruled for 40 years with a very solid political foundation, going from a single party until the loss of power. The PDS for 12 years with a solid Democratic Party and satellites around it. The APR for 12 years with the same configuration. But tell me, today, what is there around Bassirou Diomaye Faye? No, serious, structured political legitimacy capable of playing that role. And so if PASTF were to continue, it's PASTF that forms that foundation. You can't have that and tell us to join the government just for some perks. No, that's not what interests us. None of these ministers join a government for a salary or just for a title. No, we join because we believe in this country. We join because we are patriots. We have the skills, we have a vision, a program, and we want to execute it. I told him, okay, let's put everything on the table. Even that, he wasn't able to tell me. In the end, I was the one who told him if I deduce, if I analyze a bit, the summons that you had made. If I recall, I'm analyzing the summons you made on the first day. You summoned 7 past ministers. I gather it's those 7 that you actually wanted to appoint. They could no longer have been representatives of PASTEF because they bypassed the party's instructions to go and respond individually. Specifically, Minister Bala Musa Fafana, Minister Sai, what's his name? Ibrahima Sai. It's strange. I've never been able to remember his name. His first name, actually. Ibrahima Sai. Ibrahima Si. Yankoba Dime. Minister Yankoba Dime. I told him, if we were to agree, even those 3 are not PASTEF ministers. And if I take them out of the 7, it means you're offering us 4 ministerial posts out of 30 and no state portfolio for a majority party. How can you even consider that? Well, one thing led to another, and he told me, well, I can go up to 8. I said, Mr. President, we are not begging for ministerial positions. If PASTEF is to sit in the government and take responsibility for the entire record, because when it works, they'll say it's Diomaye, but when it doesn't, they'll say it's PASTEF. That's how it works in this country. We have nothing to gain by joining this government. We spent 2 years in the Prime Minister's office with a government that was mostly PASTEF. Our record is overwhelmingly positive. We froze prices, we lowered them, we renegotiated contracts, we revealed the hidden debt. We've met all debt deadlines, we've kept all state commitments, and we've succeeded with major programs for agricultural campaigns. Our record is positive. Despite the very difficult legacy of this hidden debt, we gain nothing today by joining the government. If we join, it's out of patriotism. We have a lot to lose by joining this government with a president whose direction we no longer know. From this point on, PASTF will not join a government where it cannot have at least half of the ministerial portfolios, including key sovereign ones, with continuity in the National Assembly, and we will support you. He remained stuck in his positions. I told him, okay, I'll report back. I reported back to all the ministers who rejected it and all the other party members who rejected it totally, massively, and without exception. And that's why I then called him to notify him of the party's decision not to join a government under these conditions. I know the birth of this was very difficult. Forming the government was very, 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 very delicate. Until the last minute, they were calling left and right without even having time to check the profiles to offer ministerial portfolios. Left and right. A country is serious business. A government is serious business. I get the impression that President Bassirou Diomaye Faye doesn't know what a government is. You don't form a government under these conditions. Yesterday, until 7 p.m., PASTEF activists here and in the diaspora contacted me to say, the president just called me. He says he wants to put me in his government. You don't form a government lightly. And that's why. We have a government that will be difficult. And it's because they know the government has no political base. That's why they say they formed a government of technocrats. All politicians are technocrats. I'm a tax inspector. Birame Saleh is a tax inspector. Yassine was a UN official, and so on. Aliou Sal is an IT engineer. He's a lawyer. Everyone here, Daoud Ngam is a university professor. We're all technocrats. Those over there have nothing more than us. We chose to go into politics. They didn't. That's the reality. It's just window dressing. So, what's next? We are forced to cohabitate. I warned the president a few months ago. I was the first to speak of a soft cohabitation. It could have been in the configuration that was in effect at that time, and he didn't care one bit. Whether he likes it or not, we are in a situation of cohabitation. He doesn't have a single deputy in the National Assembly out of 165. Not one. PASTEF has 130 deputies out of 165. If that doesn't force cohabitation, then what would cohabitation be? He needs to stop letting people pump him up, telling him he's the president and has all the power. He doesn't have all the power. In fact, he doesn't have more power than the others right now in the current setup. He needs to step down from his pedestal so we can talk like responsible adults for the good of this country. Those pushing him toward a war are doing him no favors. I'm speaking to him as an older brother. I'm not even talking about the president. They are doing him no favors. Politics has its rules in every country in the world. We have to follow them. Even in countries with a strict presidential system like the United States, when the president loses the midterm elections, he's forced to deal with a Congress where he's in the minority, and he negotiates to avoid a shutdown and to get his budget passed. That's what democracy is, because it's the will of the people that was expressed, saying, I'm entrusting the National Assembly to this political force. That must be respected. If he refuses, he'll drag us into a crisis that the country doesn't need. The Senegalese people are tired. What they expect from him as the executive, with his government and his budget, is to play less politics, and unfortunately, he's surrounded himself with people who do nothing else, and to get to work. We are here to support him. And that's why I said earlier that if I wanted to, and if PayStep wants to, tomorrow, in any case, within 72 hours, this government could fall, because we have the power to censure the government. But we're not interested in vendettas. Our primary concern is the best interest of this country, and that's why we won't censure them. We are going to support them. And I told him that yesterday in his office. We are not your opponent. Even looking ahead to 2022 or 2029, we are not your opponents. It's not us. If you want to achieve anything in 2029, address the concerns of the Senegalese people. When you're in power, your track record isn't about whether you managed to eliminate this or that politician and so on. You should ask the previous regime about that. Your track record is whether you've solved issues like purchasing power, water supply, electricity, healthcare, and so on. That's the record. So let him get to it, and we're here to support him. Everything that falls to the National Assembly in voting on laws, in execution, budget support, in monitoring public policies, in monitoring government action, everything within the power of the National Assembly, we are here to put it at their disposal and support them so they succeed. Because if they succeed, we will have succeeded as well. That's where we stand. But it takes two to make peace. It takes two to make peace. And the provocations have already started. Because everything they're doing, summoning deputies in the middle of a session, wanting to arrest them within the National Assembly, arresting activists left and right, it's to try to provoke past stuff, to provoke a reaction, especially from the youth, and to be able to communicate an image of a party that would be a bellicose party, and so on. That's why I'm calling on the youth once again. Stay calm. The directive has always been the same for a long time. Stay calm and composed. Continue the political work entrusted to you of expanding the base, communication, and organization. Certain statements bring nothing to the party. Certain behaviors bring nothing to the party. So peace, it takes two to make it. And they must not be the first to engage in provocation. To use the same levers that people used for 10 years to smash Sonko, to break Pastef, using the justice system, the Constitutional Council, the FDS. They need to move past that because I know some people are making them believe in it. It will bring them absolutely nothing. Let's remain composed. Let's put the higher interests of this country ahead of any other concern. Let's get to work to relieve the Senegalese people. Let's reassure Senegal's partners, the donors, and the investors. Because if we enter a crisis of dissolution, of censure, well, they'll never get an agreement with the IMF. And no one will come to Senegal to invest. I shouldn't be the first one worrying about these issues. It should be the president himself. I call for the responsibility of everyone and for an intelligent dialogue, an intelligent and constant political dialogue, constructive for the country's interest. Afterwards, each political camp will carry out its political actions to achieve its political goals within the framework of this country's laws. We must avoid plunging this country back in what he experienced not too long ago. We don't have the right. President Diomaye doesn't have the right. And from this moment on, I would also like to say that I would first like to pay tribute to the gentlemen and ladies here around me. Everywhere in Senegal, everywhere in Africa. Your attitude has been praised because it's not common in Africa to take these stances. I was saying this morning that PASTE is in the process of raising the political game in Senegal to a level we had never imagined. Often we saw in what are called the great democracies these configurations and so on. The whole debate is whether we can do it, succeed altogether with the opposition, with the power, without damaging our institutions and without reopening the door to old demons. That's the debate. But what is happening now is the level of democracy that we've rarely seen, even elsewhere in what are called the great democracies. And we owe that to PASTETH. We owe all of that to a PASTF. And so these men and these women have given back to the Senegalese their dignity, their pride. To be able to say that there are still Senegalese who are like that, Senegalese whom nothing can compromise. Senegalese who know who they are, who have strong convictions, who have honor and dignity. They are part of it. The president of the National Assembly took the first step the other week. Today, out of 20 ministers from PASTEF, plus the prime minister, which makes 21, there are only 5 who have yielded to the sirens of power. 5. It's an achievement that must be recognized for its true value. I don't have to go back over the general directors. I believe the message was delivered in Wolof. And I would like to finish by reiterating my call. To the activists, both men and women, and to the supporters, both men and women, stay calm. Stay calm, not just in the way you speak, but also in how you act. Remember, maintaining a steady tone and composed behavior is important. The PASTE project is the majority project in this country, and it's the project that is best positioned to sweep all the upcoming elections. Do not give in to any provocation. Stay calm. I would also like to ask the general directors and others, I said there's no need to go back over it, but to review the message I delivered in the Wolof language. And finally, I would like to remind you of a mobilization, the necessity of an exceptional mobilization for the Congress, the very first Congress of the party, which is scheduled for June 6th. I didn't even need to do it actually, because when it's PASTEF, it's bound to be big. But it's a Congress that's coming in a particular context, so the mobilization is on the 7th, the proceedings are on the 6th. And I would finally like to take a moment to sincerely wish the very best of luck to our talented under 17 Lions for today's important final. We wish them every success and hope they bring back this trophy as well, which would join all the trophies we've won lately. And I'll take this opportunity actually. I've congratulated all the ministers because all the past ministers have been very good. But since I'm talking about sports, Madam Main Kari Dien has been sublime and in a very short time has allowed us to achieve results, to win an Africa Cup, to go to the World Cup, to win for the under 20s, I believe, to be in the final for the under 17s, to have carried out reforms in a very difficult environment, which is the world of wrestling. I could have said it for each of these ministers, which is to say that the PASTEF ministers are very good ministers and they will have, God willing, in a little while, the opportunity to continue what they had started. I thank you for your attention.